It's time for the No Nonsense Roundtable. Insights to capture your imagination from people you know and people you'd like to know about. Each week, a different guest from a different walk of life. Now, here is the host of the No Nonsense Roundtable, Dom Genova.
Well, welcome once again to another edition of your No Nonsense Roundtable. I'm Dom Genova, your host, every Saturday from 10 to 11 right here on News Radio Wham 1180. And this week, we're going to change our direction a little bit because last week's show was very serious. And I wanted to have a guest that was kind of unpredictable. And but you might want to hear from him, and he's got a lot to say, and maybe a little bit of a quirky personality. So I decided that this week the guest was going to be, well, me.
That's great.
And not wanting to be too self-serving, I have a guest host here, which is Jerry Boone, and he is the founder of the Skycoasters, wonderful personality, good friend, and he is going to help me get through this show by asking me some relevant questions, I suppose, and we'll kind of go from there. So, Jerry, thank you for being my guest host on my own show.
Well, this is great. In fact, when you had me on the show, I remember, learning more about you, and we've become very good friends. And I remember saying to you, I'm going to take credit for this, Dom, because I remember saying, geez, you got this interesting story, entrepreneur and all these great things. You should have a show. So I just think it's great that I can be part of this, and I'm looking forward to picking your brain and sharing it with all the people, because I always take this from the point of your listeners, the kind of questions I'll ask, what they want to know about you. So we can get started if you'd like.
Well, yeah, and one of the things is that I'm looking back at my life and my story and whatever, and I never expected to be here. I'm very, very happy where this all went, but I mean, it's kind of strange how I got where I am. So go ahead.
Well, yeah, I thought when I go out and play golf with people, 9 holes, I usually pick their brain. What do you do? What's going on in your life? And I'd love to learn more about them. So I'm going to take that approach here, and I'll start with you. What started you off when you were a young kid? Tell us about growing up a little bit. That feeds into this story.
So you play golf.
Not well, but I like to talk to people.
Well, I like to say I found cheaper ways of humiliating myself, which is actually part of my life. That's been a motivator for so many things that I've done, is just either tolerating humiliation or kind of dealing with it. But I was a weird little kid. I mean, I have 3 sisters, one 10 years, 14 years, and 16 years older than me. God rest her soul, the one that was 16 years older than me has passed away. So you have an Italian family, and my parents were born here. Lived in Glen Cove, which is a very nice place to live. And, so after 10 years, the boy shows up. Right. 3 girls, and all of a sudden the boy shows up, which caused a little bit of problems because, now all the girls have to live in one little bedroom and there's no air conditioning. I got my room and everything. And it's sort of like, that's probably the basis for all of my neuroses now. 3 sisters. But I was a strange little kid. I mean, it's funny. I was small for my age, and I remember I was in first grade. I was 5 years old. So first of all, I'm smaller than all the other kids. Yeah. But it's like I was interested in broadcasting, television, and whatever. I mean, I would. If somebody was on TV selling something like peanut butter, I would go into the cabinet and get the peanut butter and hold it in front of the television like I'm doing, this commercial, right?
Oh, wow.
And yeah, it's like really weird, like the mustard, like Mom's wearing. Where's the mustard? Where's the living room with Dom?
That's great. That's good.
So I mean, like really weird. I remember talking about entrepreneur. I invented a product that if you took cleanser, I think alcohol and some other cleaner stuff, and you mixed it all together, you make this mash out of it, and it would take the green stain around from the drain in your on your kitchen sink. And I kept a formula in my baseball hat.
Weird little kid.
Yeah, strange little kid. So I'm in first grade, and Sister Walter Mary asked me, "What do you want to do for a living? Where you want to go?" And I told her I wanted to be a stand-up comedian. So
In first grade.
In first grade, yeah.
Right.
So she brought me. I'll never forget this. She brought me to all the classes in St. Patrick's School, and I had to give my impression of Yogi Bear, smarter than the average bear. You know, I'm like 5, 6 years old. I'm doing this. And
that's great.
You know, so I was always in that ilk.
So you weren't afraid of standing up in front of people and shy at a young age? Then?
Oh no! I remember one day I was going to have a like a festival on our front porch, and you know I was going to throw fireflies into my pop gun, and that was going to be, you know, nobody ever heard this story before. The fireflies in the pop gun, I was going to pop them out, and that was going to be the fireworks. And my dad's like, "Don't do that to the." Don't do that to the fire, you know. And then I'll never forget. And this is part of more of my neuroses, I guess. You know, it's like I planned this for like a long time. We're gonna have this festival and everything, and the only person that would come to the front porch with me was my dad. It's like
the audience.
You know, yeah, you probably had that experience sometimes. You expect a really big audience for the Skycoasters, and like 3 people show up
right,
or something. It happens every once in a while.
Yeah, you
right?
push through it.
Yeah, so I was a strange little kid, you know.
So tell me, you know, going on from there, going into school, going into college and so forth, some of those things, advice you got from your parents or grandparents or whoever that might have affected you along the way going on your path in life.
So let's fast forward, maybe slow forward to 8th grade. My 8th grade graduation. So this is the only time I ever saw my mother mad at somebody other than me. So the nun goes to my mother. She goes, "I hope he makes it."
Oh, ouch.
I hope he makes it. So I went to high school, and again, I'm small, so I couldn't do any like gym was horrible for me back then. And you remember how it was back then too. You know, people bullying you and pushing around and everything wasn't really something that anybody paid attention to.
Right.
And you know, so I was not very athletically inclined. I couldn't do anything on the obstacle course, and you know, I could tell you lots of stories. But living with humiliation became something that, you know, I got kind of used to. You know, it's a good.
That's great.
You know, I mean, that's fine. I mean, you don't take things all that serious. Like, okay, it's another thing, you know, that I have to be embarrassed by. And you just kind of get by it. And you don't let things bother you and whatever. So, you know, I was an okay student. But then I thought I wanted to be an engineer. So I applied to St. Bonaventure University, and they had a program. It's supposed to be a work study. You're supposed to go to St. Bonaventure for 2 years and then go to the University of Detroit for 3 years. Cool. And I quickly found out that I shouldn't be in an engineering school. I got, you know, my first semester, I got like a 1.75 or something like that. I discovered partying and sleeping, so that really wasn't the spot. You know, the really interesting thing is I had Dr. Munson on the show a while back, and Dr. Munson, I said, well, I know you weren't president of RIT back in 1971, but you did me a really big favor. He says, what did RIT do for you? I said, you rejected my application to be an engineering student. I go, my whole life's path would have gone someplace else. I would have either killed somebody or flunked out. And he says to me, without missing a beat, he says, well, we don't take just anybody, you know.
Oh, that makes you feel good.
So that takes you up to college, and we're about ready to take a break, believe it or not. And we're going to see everybody after this.
Right.
Well, welcome back. You're listening to the No Nonsense Roundtable. I'm Dom Genova, and the guest today is, well, Dom Genova. I'm subjecting myself to you.
There you go.
You wonderful listeners. And helping me with this process is Jerry Boone, who is the founder of the great group, Skycoasters. More than a rock group, you do a lot of different things.
Oh, right? Yeah. We play all kinds of music for people and have a great time doing it. So, but today is about you, Dom. I want to just get right into you.
Okay, and so you had a question about college with me, right?
Yeah, St. Bonnie's, great school. You went there, and then you started off with a very low grade. So I want to hear more about where you went from there.
Well, we're not going to dwell too much on the low grade, but what the low grade did is that it stopped them from recommending me or the University of Detroit accepting me into their engineering program because I was so bad, and so the fallback position was to get a degree in business. It was business management.
Good.
I learned some from that, but mostly what I learned was from a radio station. We had a radio station, and the strange thing about the radio station, there was something back then called, it was carrier current. You had to have the radio plugged into your outlet at the at one of the dorm rooms to hear the music. And the problem with that is that there was something they called a 60 cycle hum. So in the back of this, there's I mean, the only people that are listening to this are your girlfriend and your roommate, right? I mean, it was just, but we were on the air like almost, I don't know, it was like 18 hours a day or something. Like a lot of kids, because it was journalism school, and it was very important to them. So because we weren't open air, we could sell advertising. So what did I do? I became the sales manager. So I'm going down to Olean. We're selling radio ads and producing radio ads, which came to be something that was important for me to do when I was a car dealer. Yeah. And you got some suggestions. Some guy, I remember the tuxedo place around prom time. There's the Allman Brothers song, and what's in the background? I don't own the clothes I'm wearing. Remember that from from what was the song with that?
I forget, but I know what you're talking about.
And so somebody suggested to me, and I had a staff working for me. Jesus saves, and you can save too at the Olean Savings Bank. And it's like, nah, we're not going to do that. and so I eventually became station manager. They elected me, and that was a big controversy. That was a big controversy because I was a business major and not a journalism major, and a lot of people went through that position of being station manager. And God rest his soul, Jack Gardner was the station manager of the radio station.
Really?
A few years before I got there.
That's cool.
Yeah, we had that in common. That was really, really cool. A better human being never walked the face of the earth than Jack Gardner.
Absolutely.
But my claim to fame is I got everybody together, and I had a staff. We had counting, and we had production, and we have, of course, the disc jockeys and whatever. And what I did is I applied. I spearheaded the program to apply to the FCC to get an FCC license, so we wouldn't have to have our radios plugged in anymore. So people could get their radio program no matter where in Olean. It was only 10 watts, but it was at least this open air. Yeah. And now they're doing very, very well. And I am proud to say that I am in the Hall of Fame for the WSBU Hall of Fame. It used to be WOFM. OFM stood for the Friars, and I named it SBU. We were afraid that Southern Baptist University had a radio station. They didn't. But then that's what I did.
So you got that experience that helped you, move forward. That's great.
It was great practical experience about sales, business management, dealing with people, and I learned a lot in college from there.
That's great.
They graduated in '75, and it was horrible. I got very depressed. Because I didn't have any place. There was a recession. I couldn't.
I
couldn't get a job. I'm applying. I'm staying home. And I remember my father coming to me one day and goes, "You need to get a job." He starts yelling, and I start crying. I go, "Dad, I don't know what to do." He says, "What you're going to do?" He says, "You're going to go back to the to the job you had in summer. Just a minimum wage job."
Yeah.
He says, "This way you're doing something, not nothing,
right?
And you'll have a couple of bucks in your pocket, and that's what you're going to do." And there was a surveying crew I was working on at the time.
Yeah.
And I did that. So then I got a job working for Motorola, selling two-way radios like the cops use in the South Bronx. Now figure the South Bronx in like 1975, 76 with the the buildings burning down, stuff like that, and having to go door to door trying to sell these $3,000 radio systems.
Oh, no.
So I got fired from that.
Yeah.
But what it's really not all my fault because they hired like 35 guys. You know what
Right.
they do? They flood the thing.
Right.
And so I got my job with Chrysler through an employment agency. believe it or
Really?
not. Yeah, they were too cheap to pay the fee, and I had to pay my own fee.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
But they started me like at I think it was like $15,600, which today would be like $65,000 for a 22-year-old guy. And I stayed there. I stayed there for 17 years.
And where was that located?
That was in New York. I was in New York and calling on New York dealers. Until from 77 to 86. In 86, we got transferred to Charlotte, North Carolina. Nina and I, just before I got married, I got transferred, and she came down with me when we finally got married.
Yeah.
And we stayed there for 17 years. But working for a big company, you work for a big company.
Yeah.
You know what it's like. You can either stand it. I just didn't have the interpersonal skills to survive in that environment. So.
But tell me what you did in there. What was your staff position?
When I was younger, I was calling on dealers, which is really cool because dealers are all fun and weird. I mean, we all are. We have strange egos and stuff, and calling on them was a lot of fun. But when you get to staff, you're competing with people in politics and committees, and I was one of these guys. I got to the point where I realized that my career wasn't going to go where I wanted my career to go, and I had looking back, I had a girlfriend in college, and her father gave me all this advice back when I was 21 years old. I didn't realize what he was talking about back then. He said, you don't have equity in something until you sell it. When you're working for a big company, they're all going to tell you you're going to be vice president of the company when you're 23. When you get into your late 30s, he says you're going to realize where you're going to go. He says it's going to be clear to you. Yeah. He says you're going to have to make a decision. He says, and if you ever get a chance to start a business, do it. He says, I should have done it. He says, I'm 45 years old. I can't do it. And I took that advice to heart. And I think I had the dealership for maybe 15 years. And I sent him a letter and said, thank you.
That's cool.
Thank you, Mr. Bresney, for doing that. And his daughter called me back years later and said, my dad, I want you to know, my dad just passed away. He got your letter.
Wow.
But he was in the middle of Alzheimer's, and he was very suspicious. But I want you to know that he got your letters. So
that's neat.
It is a really neat story because this is one of those things. Somebody passing it forward, whatever, the little change that you see in your life where it's taken a different direction, and you can take advantage of that, and you touch somebody's life, and he certainly did. So I realized that something, I wasn't going to go where I wanted to go. I thought I had a talent for retail. The girls were 1 and 4 at the time. My wife, God bless my wife. My wife has an advanced degree too, and she goes, what are you afraid of? You're afraid of losing our money. She goes, if we lose our money, people are always looking for people to wait tables or sell cars. She goes, we'll be fine. The girls are 1 and 4. The girls will be fine.
Wow. That's, this is the point where a lot of people would go one way or the other and take the safe route and say, I'll just stay another 20 years at the company and put up with this. And you made that change. I want to hear all about this, and I want to hear about the sleepless nights.
There were a few of those. We're about ready to head into another break. We're going to see you on the other side. Well, welcome back. You're listening to the No Nonsense Roundtable. I'm Dom Genova, your host and your guest today. And helping me out is Jerry Boone, who's the founder of the Skycoasters. 55 years next year.
Next year is 55 years, yeah. Started in 1968.
1968. Yeah. And Pascal, COVID had to be a hard time for you, right?
Yeah. In fact, it's sort of amazing because 2 years off, basically, and now we're getting the largest crowds we've ever gotten. It's amazing. People are out.
Well, let's do a little retail. You have the Turkey Bash coming up.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's a whiles away, but...
It's our big event of the year. We do this with Honor Flight veterans, and it's sort of a fundraiser along with them. And it's at November 11th, which is Veterans Day, very appropriate, on a Friday night at the Rochester Museum and Science Center. We're taking the whole mother over and going to have us and another band and a silent disco. It's going to be just great. But thanks for letting me plug that.
Well, I figured the rest of the questions are going to be softballs after giving you all that airtime. So, and talking about retail, I'd like to shout out at the bottom of the hour that this show is sponsored by the great Bob Johnson Auto Group. They have 20 dealerships all across this area, and the great people to deal with. I'd like to remind people that I had the Bob Johnson Auto Group adopt my babies, which was Genesee Valley Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Genesee Valley Ford and Avon, and I give them, let's put it this way, if I could sell the dealerships to them and trust them to do that, you could trust them when you buy something from them, okay?
Great, that's good.
But Jerry, we were talking, where were we? I forget where we were now.
This is an exciting part for me because this is the part where you have to make a major decision, which your wife said she would support, but you're making some good money and you've got a nice staff job. And I'm wondering what goes through your head that actually made you change at that point and decide to risk everything and go out on your own?
Well, like the fella that influenced me years ago, and he said, well, you could, when you're in your 20s and 30s and you're working for a big company, they're all going to tell you you're going to be president of the company.
Right.
When you get to be in your late 30s, you're going to realize really where you're going to go.
Yeah.
So I'm making almost $100,000, which would be like almost 175 or 200. Now I have 4 weeks vacation. We have the week off between Christmas and New Year's on top of that.
Cool.
I got a company car, all the gas I can use. Don't have to pay for insurance. Nita's got a lease car, which is at a very affordable rate, like a ridiculously affordable rate. Had health care and dental care, and a lot of people would be satisfied with that,
absolutely.
Right?
Yep.
Okay. But here's the thing. It's like, where are you going and what is your life going to be in the future? And sometimes you have to make some pretty tough decisions. Sometimes you got to go backward to go forward. And also you have to have a clear and untrammeled view of what reality is and how to address that reality. I don't mean being a tough guy. I mean being tough-minded, right?
Right.
So the girls are 1 and 4 at the time, and I like being home. I mean, I don't want to be one of these guys that's has to leave the house on Sunday afternoon and coming back on Friday.
Yep.
It's just the money's not that important to us. Nita, she goes, there's always people that are looking for people to either sell cars or wait tables. She goes, she's got, like I said, she's got an advanced degree too, and she's like, the worst that's going to happen is we lose our money.
Yeah.
She goes, we lose our money. She goes, you get a job, maybe selling cars. I'll wait tables. We'll do whatever we have to do.
Yeah.
The girls will be fine. It's sort of like, I have to laugh sometimes because it's sort of like The Sound of Music. We're going, we're taking the kids. We're going to go over the mountain. We're fine. It's not like it's not like we're fleeing from the Nazis, though.
Right. So what was it that just all of a sudden you went, boom, I'm going to go?
Oh yeah. Well, harsh reality.
Yeah.
So I told you we had the week off between Christmas and New Year's. The week off between Christmas and New Year's, the entire company is closed, and the entire company is closed because back when in the day they had such absenteeism at the plant, they just said, hey, we're just gonna close it. Mm-hmm. So if you're in a sales office, which I was in Charlotte, North Carolina, and you're on staff, you have to work a day. Okay, you have to work a day. So in setting that up, so I go into my personnel review, and my boss says to me, you're really not a very good team player. And I go, okay, I'll listen to anything.
Yeah,
okay, but you have to have facts and figures. You have to have math and logic to back this up, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I said, well, tell me an example of me not being a good team player.
Yeah.
He goes, well, you're in Charlotte, and he says, and if you got Randy to work your day, you could have gone back to New York for the week. And okay, so and literally, I said to him, I said, so if I got somebody else to do my job, that would be an indication that I would be a good team player.
Jesus, I wonder what.
And he says, in a matter of speaking, yes. And I'm like, oh my God, I know what he's saying, but what is he saying? So every once in a while I get asked to give a guest lecture at a college. So, I'll ask that question. And usually it's the older MBA student who raises their hand and says, I said, you know what he was saying? He's saying he doesn't like you. Yeah. Yes, that's exactly right. He's saying he doesn't like me. And he made an arrangement that he was going to have that position for the rest of his career because he had a health problem. He was going to stay there, and I realized that I had to leave. I mean, when I was a boy, my dad had a job for one and was involved with like one political party, and you always knew that if the administration changed, your lifestyle would change.
Oh, yeah.
Republicans are in, Democrats are in, your lifestyle has changed.
Yeah.
But I realized that it wasn't going to change. And then, like I said, I'd rather captain a small fishing boat someplace than, being a vice admiral 3 times down, in the Pentagon. And it's just,
that's cool. I just find that this is such a cool point in your life. I'd love to hear now. Okay, flip it over. You said, I'm out of here. And then,
oh yeah,
what are you going to do now?
Ahead of time, I called every dealer placement manager on the East Coast of the United States, and I was looking for a little place to have a little dealership, just a little dealership.
Okay.
And we had this place in Avon.
Yeah.
There was no water, there was no heat in the building. It was completely empty.
Wow.
There were like 6 of us, and it's like, okay, I'll put. We lived in Avon. We went from 6 people, and we sold the dealership. I think we had like 87 or 88 people, with the two dealerships.
Oh, amazing.
But we started advertising real price and real payment, because that was my whole thing. I think, people are so upset with the car business,
Right,
if you just tell them, just tell them. Don't have you have to be in the military. It's got to be the Canadian military,
Right.
All these things, and it hit a chord with people.
Yeah.
And from my MBA in marketing, it's called niche marketing. What you're doing is you're appealing to people to know the difference.
Yeah.
They know what's what. They understand that you have to make a buck. Just good
Right.
people, and you take care of them. And I had an uncle, Jimmy Morbido, and he was an Allstate salesperson. And when he got to like our age, he didn't do any work because it was the people he originally sold the insurance
Right.
policy to, and there was the kids, and it was the grandkids.
Right.
So our whole philosophy was to maximize the number of customers, not maximize the profit on each one.
Okay.
And then I thought, well, how are you going to articulate this? And believe it or not, it was like no nonsense pantyhose.
Yeah.
So I says, we're going to be the no nonsense car dealer.
Cool.
Yeah, and that and that
That's great.
Yeah, and so it clicked and it worked, and we literally you have the grandkids coming in to buy cars, and that's really cool. So you
Relationships.
relationships.
Tell me that. I just love this. You're starting out.
Yeah.
Tell me about what a day was like when it was just you and.
It was bell to bell, 6 days a week.
Wow.
It was absolutely bell to bell, but it was enjoyable too. Nita would come down with the girls. One of course the 4-year-old was walking beside her, and the other one was in a stroller.
Yeah.
Come visit us during the day.
And you're
whatever.
selling. You're selling
cars.
cars.
I'm selling. Yeah, I hate to sell cars. I hate selling things though. I would give it away. We would be bankrupt if you had to get a deal from me. But now that I'm out of the business, it doesn't make any difference anymore. So we're going to do another break, and we're going to talk more about this when we get back. So welcome back to the No Nonsense Roundtable. We're here today with the guest, me.
There you go.
And Jerry Boone, who is the founder of the Skycoasters, interviewing me. So we're up to Avon, our little building, a little wooden building, like 7,000 square feet, leaking in the roof and whatever. We're going to cross the street to the Ford dealership to go to the bathroom because we didn't have water or light yet. Oh, seriously, God's honest truth. We're going to cross the street to the Ford dealership to go to the bathroom.
And you have to time that.
Yeah. Now you got to remember, I'm making like almost a couple $100,000 in today's money,
Right.
And I have a building with nothing, nothing there.
Amazing.
But the dealers all passed on the point here because they thought it was too difficult and whatever. And I was like, well, if you live in town and you be a part of the community, the Rotary and whatever, that you could be successful. And
That's
that worked.
neat.
I mean, and back in those days, like I said, we had 6 or 8 people, and Nita is walking Francesca down to see us, and Alexandra is in the stroller and visiting us and whatever. Wednesday nights were a big night because we closed at 6:30, not 8, so we could go to the Chinese restaurant on Wednesday night. And same thing with Friday. And
hard work.
I was working bell to bell. You're working from 8 o'clock in the morning to 8 o'clock at night. But at least I was home. We could put the kids to bed, and you see, and that's the thing. I wasn't on the road.
Wow.
And it was, we had a convertible at that time. It was an older convertible, and I said to Nita one day, it says like we have this cooler of money in the back seat, and it's just going. It's just. The money's just got, it's just, we're living off our savings. But at some point it started to catch, because we started out with real price and real payment, which is what we're advertising. And when I invented the statement, "You're no nonsense car dealer," and what it did is that it garnered a certain number of people who knew the difference, who would come in and do business with us. That's because great. We did business the way they wanted the business done. One of the things in life that people say is that treat people the way you want to be treated. And that's not really what you should do. You should treat them the way they want to be treated.
Oh, good point.
Right. Yeah. That's it. And everybody's different. And that was why I was never one price selling, because some people want the mud flaps, and some people want a little bit more money for their car. Somebody what do you want? I'll try to give that to you.
Listen to the.
So the town barns came up for sale on the corner of 5 and 20 and 390, and I found out about it, and I bought the town barns from the town. It's a long story, but I took $25,000 out of my pocket to do that. I got loan money from some local businessmen, and which we paid back in like 3 years, and then we built the Ford dealership beyond that. And then when I sold the dealerships in 2020 to Bob Johnson, I think we had 85 employees or somewhere in there.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, and we were doing like $80 million worth of sales annually. So it really caught. Thank God, because I'm not that smart. I'm not this brilliant businessman. It's just that you do things a certain way, and you hope that they catch. And,
that's amazing,
and they did. And it wasn't always easy. I mean, back in 2008, you had the financial crisis, and
right.
So.
And you're the owner. There's a lot of sleepless nights involved in that.
Well, the other thing is, one of the challenges of being an owner is that people don't see the problems that you have. Okay, and you're not gonna share those with your employees.
Right.
So, they go, oh, there's a good example of that is the fellow that owns Bob Johnson, and his name is John Love. He's going to be on next week, and. He had a very, very, very bad life as a child, and he brought himself out of this and is now a very successful businessman. And 20 years in the 20 stores, and they just don't see that. But it was a good ride, and people say that. That I'm retired. Don't tell me I'm retired. I'm not retired. I'm doing this. We just had a program that we produced for Don Alhart. With Don Alhart, not for Don Alhart, for the Rochester Rotary Sunshine Camp. They call it music branding now. We have a program that we did for them. I'm trying to help out some other organizations doing marketing or whatever. I have my marketing company. I have investments in real estate and what. But it's amazing the things that you come across. I'm in the process of writing a book. You have my working title on the book, my 3-day MBA.
Which I read before I came here to interview, and I just think there's so many good gems there. If you could just share a few of them, because you've done something a lot of people wouldn't have the guts to do. You've learned along the way. You're still, learning and trying different things, and it's great for you to share some of those gems with us.
Well, it's like my wife said. She says, money's not everything. It's just, we'll be fine. And so that has been my philosophy through things. But there's some things that you learn. There's some things that you can't learn in college,
right.
And. I have to tell you, it's like my 7% rule. I used to wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning worrying about making somebody happy.
Right.
And you can't make everybody happy.
Right.
My 7% rule. And people always argue maybe about the percentage, but not the concept.
Correct.
And I'll clean up the language.
Yeah.
So 7% of the world, 7% of the people in the world are either nuts or they're mean. Now, substitute any words you want in there. Okay, right. But they're nuts and they're mean. Yeah. There's people that think that the world is flat. right?
Yeah,
I mean, you can't do
right.
anything with those people, right?
Right.
Or they're mean.
Yeah.
They're mean. They want to take advantage of you no matter what.
Right.
And you have to put them in, it's not like recyclables. You don't have to put
Right.
one in you put them in the same barrel and you forget about them.
Yep.
And the funny thing is my service writers every once in a while would come up to me and go, hey, Dom, I got somebody in the service drive who's a real 7%er.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
So he had a code word for somebody
Yeah.
that you couldn't do anything with. And some people are like that.
Yeah.
I remember some woman was on my showroom floor. This is my favorite story. And she's yelling across the showroom floor because the seatbelt buckle for her car came in, it was a replacement, and came in tan rather than gray.
Yeah.
And she's yelling about this. She's, oh, you people are stupid or incompetent. You don't know what you're doing. I'm thinking to myself, God did not give this woman enough problems.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
right.
it's your seatbelt buckle.
Big issue.
Oh my God, there's so many problems in the world. Your seatbelt
Yeah.
buckle, and you're like, okay, 7%er.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and the thing is that failures. There's a statement I heard years ago. You know, failure is never final, and success is never ending. So you try things, and the things don't work. If I told you all the things that I've tried that haven't worked, you'd be amazed. But that's the only way you get to the stuff that does work, and then you build on that, and you build on that, and you build on that. You know, and I'm proud to say we the only car dealer that ever got an ethical award from the Rochester Area Business Ethics Foundation, and that was very rewarding for us.
Tell me about that.
Well, it has to do with standards and the way you conduct yourself, and they come down and they do an assessment of you doing things the right way, and we're very proud that we earned that back back years ago. And
It goes back to that treat people the way you want to be treated thing.
well, yeah, treat them the way they want to be treated.
Oh,
That's,
yeah,
that's
exactly.
the way. The thing is that there's and every once in a while, again, I have this class that I teach, and ethics are one or three things. It's either theology, philosophy, or strategy. Okay, so it's theology. I mean, you're going to think you're going to meet your maker. Okay?
Right.
Or it's philosophy. I love, and I know I've repeated all the time, forgive me, listeners, for saying, but the Jackie Robinson quote that a life has little meaning except for the effect it has on other lives, okay? Or it's strategy. You think if you give something away for free, free oil changes for life, I'm a good guy. And, well, that's really not, that's really not ethics.
Yeah.
I mean, it might make you feel good to think about that, but, that's not the same thing. So
What other...
believe it or not, we're running out of time.
I was going to keep asking you more questions.
It's all this time that you're taking, Jerry. I don't know if I can handle this again. So we might have to have a follow-up someday because I like to hear myself talk.
Well, I love it. This has just been great for me and the listeners, and I think it's inspiring to see how someone took a chance, made it happen, and is still going out there taking chances right now. So, Dom, thank you for including me.
Well, I've been very, very fortunate, and God's been very good to me in ways that I could never have comprehended when I was 22 years old. So,
well, you're a good guy, so.
Well, I thank you for that. And the music today was provided by the Skycoasters. Everybody, we're going to see you next week on the No Nonsense Roundtable. Well, thanks for watching this YouTube. If you liked it, please like and share.